No DQ Galaxy, we are live with a recap of WWE Smackdown, WrestleMania Smackdown. We are on the eve of WrestleMania, although technically it is Saturday morning. It is 1 a.m. Eastern time. It is WrestleMania Saturday now. We got Smackdown to discuss. We got a long Hall of Fame ceremony to discuss. I do have some things to say about the Hall of Fame. Thank you to everyone for watching this. For those of you out there watching this live at 1 o'clock Eastern, I appreciate it. And thank you to everybody watching this on demand. A lot to discuss. I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible and sum up my thoughts. Chat room, thank you for your comments and participation. Let's get to the show. Smackdown, we had the Kevin Owens show with Randy Orton. They were making fun of the United States champion, Logan Paul. Logan Paul interrupted the segment, but he was at the stadium. He was over down the parking lot at the stadium where WrestleMania will take place. He said he's 2 steps ahead of Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. Owens suggested that since they could just go across the street, why not take care of Logan Paul? So they left the ring, and then after the commercial break, Owens found a golf cart that they could drive over with. Randy Orton sat in the back, and you had Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. They had come out of the ring to try and ambush Owens and Orton, but it didn't work. And they were chasing the golf cart. They were literally chasing the golf cart. We had the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, the Dre, which over the past several years has really meant nothing. Omos was back. We haven't seen him in a while. Pretty Deadly wanted everybody to gang up on Omos, but nobody else wanted to do that. Omos quickly eliminated Kit Wilson, and then Elton Prince just jumped over the top and eliminated himself. Omos dominated for a while, but then Omos sent out the Creed brothers and eliminated himself in the process. It came down to about 5 or 6 guys. We had a Meat Mania moment with Bronson Reed, Ivar, and Otis, whatever his name is. I'm tired. It's very late. JD McDonough ended up eliminating Ricochet, but then was super kicked out of the ring by Tozawa. And then Reed and Ivar splashed Tozawa like a sandwich. They squashed him. Tozawa was out, and then Otis was out. It was down to Reed and Ivar. They went back and forth. Reed came off the top, Ivar came off the top with a Doomsault attempt, but Reed was able to move, and then Reed eliminated Ivar to pick up the victory. It was fine for what it was. It was a battle royal. I don't know if it's going to lead to anything for Bronson Reed. He gets a nice little win here. By the way, him, Ricochet, and Omos were the only guys that received an entrance, which typically one of the people that gets an entrance is the one that ultimately wins the battle royal. There may have been a year or two where that did not happen, but I think it happens more times than not. Match was fine for what it was. We had a couple of video packages during the show, one from the Final Testament. They were ripping into the Pride, Bobby Lashley's group. Karrion Kross mocked Lashley for not having a match at WrestleMania. Now we had Logan Paul coming back to the ring. He came to the ring. He was actually at the stadium. He was at the arena, the Wells Fargo Center, and he thought he outsmarted Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. He called them dumb. And he showed the footage from the stadium of what was supposed to be a beatdown on Orton and Owens, but Waller, in theory, could not find them in the stadium. And as it turns out, Owens and Orton were in the arena. They came from under the ring. Logan Paul tried to run, but he could not get anywhere. He could not escape. He got hit with a stunner, and then he got hit with the RKO. Champion not looking too good. Odds stacked against him. You guys know the drill. Watch the predictions if you missed them. We got 2 videos, 2 live streams, night 1 and night 2 predictions. You still got time to watch those. For the night 2 predictions, we also covered NXT and gave our predictions. So check that out. Cheap plug. It's the middle of 13 straight nights of live streaming, and we still got a lot to go. So there's the quick plug for it. NoDQ.com/YouTube if you're watching this on Facebook or Twitter/X. Now, backstage, we actually had an angle on this show to set up WrestleMania. We had somebody who attacked Dragon Lee, a mystery attacker. Dragon Lee was hurt, and guess who was right there? Carlito. He was the first one on the scene. Very suspicious. Of course, Dragon Lee got the spot at WrestleMania, so was this Carlito trying to take the spot from Dragon Lee? Guess we'll find out fairly soon. We had Zelina Vega versus Elektra Lopez. Rey Mysterio was out there. Santos Escobar was out there. Dominic Mysterio and Andrade, who has been involved with Dominic over the past few weeks. Basic match here. You had a distraction finish where Dominic got on the apron. Rey knocked Dominic down, but the damage was done. Zelina was distracted, and Elektra got the win with her finisher, the Elektra Shock. And then after the match, Dominic attacked his son, or his father, I should say. I mean, if you didn't know better, you would think that the bigger guy was the father, but Dominic beat up his son. I said it again. I am so tired right now. Dominic beat up his father, Rey Mysterio, not his son. Get it together. I know it's 1:08 a.m., but Dominic is the son of Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is the father of Dominic. Okay. Now, Dominic was beating up his father, Rey Mysterio, and then Andrade turned against Legado del Fantasma and Dominic. Andrade reunited with his old manager, Zelina Vega, and more on that in just a moment here. We had Bianca Belair and Naomi in the ring for a promo. They hyped up WrestleMania. They introduced Jade Cargill. Jade came to the ring, cut a brief promo, said that the big 3 will show that there's no damage control, and that damage control is in the eye of the storm. Backstage, it was confirmed that Dragon Lee will not be able to compete at WrestleMania, and thus Rey needs a new partner, and Andrade volunteered for the job. And once he did this, Carlito came back into the ring and mentioned what happened to Dragon Lee, and Rey was like, well, Andrade has already stepped up as the new partner. Carlito paused for a moment, and then he was like, go get him. You guys take care of business at WrestleMania. So definitely feels like some seeds are being planted here, and then there are some shenanigans in the works. Shout out to Hamp Kano, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Hamp. I appreciate it. Says they really need to do the Hall of Fame on Thursdays. I 100% agree with this, and I'll talk more about the Hall of Fame here in just a moment. Hall of Fame should be on its own night. I'm just going to say that right here, right now, and I will go into more detail in just a few moments. It's way past my bedtime. And it has gotten so late and everyone's so tired that Virtue and Mr. Tito are arguing about who's the alpha, who's the bottom of no DQ. Like they're just trying to entertain themselves because they're so tired. So shout out to Virtue and Mr. Tito for entertaining everybody at this late hour. We had the New Catch Republic versus Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Another basic tag team match here. I'm not going to say too much about it. New Catch Republic, Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne picked up the win with the double burning hammer. And then Judgment Day immediately jumped the ring and attacked both teams, left them laying. Judgment Day getting the last momentum heading into WrestleMania. We had a Bayley video package, basically just questioning if the friendship with Damage Control was ever real. Were they using her? She said she built Damage Control and she's going to do everything to break them. We got Bayley versus Io Sky coming up at WrestleMania. And then LA Knight came to the ring for a promo. Basic promo here. He was chewing gum, and at one point, I think like he choked on his gum, and he had an awkward moment where he had to swallow it. Just said that AJ Styles is phenomenal, but phenomenal at not showing up. They did an angle earlier in the day at a media event, and I don't think they showed any footage from it. And that was a good angle. I'm a little surprised that they didn't just show the footage from that. It was just a basic promo, get LA Knight in front of the crowd. Not much else to say about it. And then we had a vignette from the Pride. They basically said the final testament has nowhere to hide. And then we had our main event, Jey Uso versus Solo Sikoa. Solo quickly gained the upper hand, took out Jey with a Uranagi on the floor. And then after the break, Jey started making his comeback, delivering some shots. Crowd was chanting yeet for each blow. And then Solo countered with a Samoan drop, went for the Samoan spike, but Jey avoided it, hit the spear, went up top for the Uso splash. And then we had Jimmy Uso attacking his brother, causing a disqualification. We then had Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins running down to make the save for Jey. And the good guys got the upper hand. Cody took his weightlifting belt, just like The Rock did to him. Cody took the belt and started whipping Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. The crowd was chanting, "Whoop that trick." And then Cody took out Jimmy with the crossroads. And then Jey came off the top with the Uso splash to Jimmy. I'm almost wondering if I want to change my prediction just because Jimmy looked so weak here. They built up Cody, and Cody did cut a post-match promo, said he's going to shatter the foundation of the bloodline. He said, when one story ends, an even better one begins. Smackdown was okay. Like, it was a throwaway show. Like, I'm going to give it a C+. It was okay. It had a few key moments, like the Andrade storyline with Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar and Dominic. I mean, that was really the highlight of the show. And I was entertained by the Randy Orton, Logan Paul, Kevin Owens stuff, but most of this was just filler. Like, it's final SmackDown before WrestleMania. André Battle Royal was what it was. C+. Now, let's get to the Hall of Fame. We'll talk about that here for a little bit. Like I said, I was entertained by the Hall of Fame, but it needs to be on a different night. It's just too much. The Hall of Fame was longer than SmackDown. And I do not have a problem with the wrestlers getting time and the people being inducted having their moment. That's why you got to put it on a different night, on its own night. So they don't have any limitations. They don't feel pressured. They can just go out there and say whatever they want to say. We did the usual kickoff where they had to transition everything and set up the Hall of Fame. So you had like 25 minutes of people being interviewed. The highlight of this was Keith Lee, who was in attendance. He ended up walking onto the screen while CM Punk was talking. And of course, people were speculating, did he do that on purpose to intentionally piss off Tony Khan? Who knows? But it was funny. Keith Lee just randomly popping up in the background during the opening moments of the Hall of Fame. We opened up with Paul Heyman, which I found to be very surprising. I believe this is the first time that the headliner opened the Hall of Fame ceremony. I don't think it's ever happened before. Maybe Paul Heyman knew the crowd would get tired and he just wanted to go out first. Knew it was a long Saturday. He wanted to actually get some sleep. Smart man. I mean, Paul Heyman, he's a genius, right? So I think he just wanted to get in there, do his thing, and go to bed. And I do not blame him whatsoever. He was entertaining as hell. If you're going to watch any speech from this ceremony, it's Paul Heyman. The video package, no Brock Lesnar. They did not show Brock Lesnar at all in the video package. Maybe you saw like his arm or his shorts, but that was about it. Roman Reigns came out there, said it was bullshit that he had to cut a promo about the greatest promo in wrestling. Can't say I blame him for that one. And he put over Paul Heyman, called him the greatest communicator of all time. Heyman came out there to the ECW theme song. He hugged Rob Van Dam, who was there, Tommy Dreamer, Bully Ray. Crowd was chanting, "You deserve it." And Heyman responded with, "You're damn effing right, I deserve it." And he actually used the F word and it got through the censors. Actually, what's funny, it got past the censors several times, the profanity. He dropped a lot of F-bombs during this speech. He really put over Triple H hard, said he will always be forever a Paul Levesque guy. And he shook Triple H's hand. Stephanie McMahon was there. They showed her on camera. He put over her. She was wearing an ECW hat. So first time we've seen Stephanie in a couple of years. She was looking good. Heyman gave a shout out to his kids who were sitting front row and CM Punk. He gave CM Punk props on more than one occasion. He also put over Dusty Rhodes. And then he talked about ECW. And for this part, he had a box. He pulled out his old trench coat, his hat, and his cell phone that he used back when he was in WCW. And he talked about how wrestling sucked in 1993. And there needed to be a tribe of extreme. He said that ECW was there to disrupt the industry, and it wasn't meant to last. It was meant to go out in a blaze of glory. And then he had the line of the night. He said, "If you think the spirit of ECW died in a bankruptcy court in 2001, you can suck his effing D." And that was uncensored. Well, I think it did get censored, but he said the words. And there is an uncensored video. If you go on the No DQ Twitter account, you can see that. Heyman talked about being canceled over the years, but he kept coming back. And he did name drop Brock Lesnar, being the advocate for Brock Lesnar. He did the whole spiel there. And then he talked about transitioning, how Roman Reigns saved his career. And Heyman expressed gratitude for his position, being able to work with a whole new generation of wrestlers. I will use a curse word every now and then, but I'm very selective. And also, it's YouTube. You never know when they're going to pull some shenanigans and try to demonetize a video. So I try not to use the actual words if I can help it. And Heyman said he's going to continue disrupting. He's not done by any means. And he said, that's not a prediction. That is a spoiler. Shout out to Mr. Tito, who sent in $5. Thank you for that, Mr. Tito. I appreciate it. There's a thumbs up for you. He says, I felt Stephanie was extra emotional tonight, as if she was glad to go to get home and proud that her man stepped up to take care of the family business. Yeah, I hope we get to see more of Stephanie now. I mean, that was cool to see her. She looked happy. She looked good. That was definitely a cool moment to see her. And yeah, like I said, excellent speech. Right up there among the best Hall of Fame speeches ever. I think it would definitely be in the top 5. Shout out to Mohammed. Hope you're doing well. We had Alundra Blaze coming out there to do the speech for Bull Nakano. Bull Nakano, 90s women's wrestler from Japan. Had a couple years in WWE, a couple years in WCW. One of the few legitimate women's wrestlers in the United States on a national level in the 1990s. So I think it was pretty cool that they inducted her. And she looked great. I mean, considering her age, she came out there. Alundra Blaze did a nice job putting her over. And Nakano, you know, she's got the broken English, but she did well. She seemed very, very touched to have this honor. And they did a little cool moment where Alundra gave her some flowers and bowed to her. I liked it. It was not able to follow Paul Heyman, but I mean, nobody on this lineup or really anybody on any lineup could follow this. I mean, hell, even The Rock, I don't think was able to follow Paul Heyman. So she was in a tough spot, but the crowd was respectful, and I thought it was a very nice gesture to have her inducted. Next up, we had Muhammad Ali, the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame. And, you know, Muhammad Ali, one of the all-time greatest athletes in world history. So it is what it is with the celebrities going in, and he was part of the first WrestleMania, and he had some other moments. The Undertaker came out there and did the speech. That was a nice choice to have the Undertaker do it. Undertaker called him a legend amongst legends. And then Undertaker introduced Ali's wife, Lonnie. She did a little speech, talked about WrestleMania, Roddy Piper, and called Ali a global sports entertainer, which is very true. And then she brought up how The Rock in 1998 asked permission to use the term the people's champion, which was something that Muhammad Ali used. And of course, they were fine with it. And because of this, they brought out The Rock. The Rock came out, even though he had the segment for his grandmother later. He came out here and he was presented with the People's Championship title belt. The Rock was getting booed by the fans, and I'm not sure Lonnie knew how to react to this. The Rock did put over Ali, but I thought this was a little awkward. Like, this was supposed to be about Ali, and it ended up being about The Rock. So yeah, he's got this title belt. Yeah, it was a little bizarre. And the crowd booing The Rock, you know, they wanted to get into the storyline with The Rock right now, but you know, he's out there trying to be serious. The whole thing was strange. Chunky sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. There's a thumbs up for you. I appreciate it. Says, disgraceful Cody crybabies booing during The Rock's tribute to Muhammad Ali is not just disrespectful, it's embarrassing. Ali stood for dignity and unity. That's the downside with having the fans at the Hall of Fame. I mean, this has happened for years. Sometimes the fans get into it a little too much, you know. They get carried away, and sometimes they're disrespectful. it happens. It's the Hall of Fame, and some argue that maybe they should go back to the old method of just having friends and family in attendance, or maybe having like a small crowd. But yeah, you always risk that, and especially when it's a long show too, and people are tired. They're trying to wake up and be entertained, so they start trying to entertain themselves and start chanting and yelling things. That is a downside to it. Next up, we had the U.S. Express, Mike Rotunda. Sometimes he was Rotundo, sometimes he was Rotunda. Mike Rotunda and Barry Windham. They had great careers, but the tag team, they had the WrestleMania moment, and I feel like that's why they were inducted. But I don't think they were even in WWE that long as a tag team. I think they were there like a year maybe. And then Barry Windham went to the NWA, and I think Rotunda left for a while, and then he eventually came back as IRS. But yeah, both of them, that run in 1985 wasn't all that long. So it was really just that they were part of the first WrestleMania, and both of them are, in my opinion, Hall of Fame worthy wrestlers. But yeah, the tag team itself, greatest tag teams of all time. Like, I don't even think they would crack like the top 25, maybe top 50 for me at least. But anyways, it was cool to see them get a moment here. You had Taylor Rotunda, aka Bo Dallas, and his sister Mika doing the speech in the beginning. They also acknowledged Bray Wyatt, their brother. That was cool. Rotunda and Windham came out there. Rotunda did most of the talking. I think Barry had like a couple of lines, but Mike did the bulk of the talking here. Talked about how they got into the wrestling business, and praised his wife, Barry's sister, and joked about how they should have gotten hazard pay for working with the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov at the first WrestleMania. And Mike finished the speech by saying that they wish his son, Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda, could have been there. And in honor of him, they lit up their phones. It was very classy. So yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. Shout out to Mr. Tito, who sent in a $2 super chat. Says, sorry, Virtue, long day. I'm tired and cranky. Well, aren't we all, Mr. Tito? In fact, when I was talking to my mom earlier today, she said I sounded cranky. It's been a long day. I don't think I was cranky then. I might be cranky now. But yeah, like, I barely had any breaks today from the morning when I woke up to right now, 1:30 a.m. It's been a long day for sure. Very little time for recreation today, but hey, it's WrestleMania weekend, and it's all part of the grind. And yes, Barry Windham is now a two-time WWE Hall of Famer. All right, so next up we had Thunderbolt Patterson. Way before my time, so I really knew nothing about him, but a lot of wrestlers were influenced by him and motivated by him. He was big in giving black wrestlers more of an opportunity and having chances and equality in the wrestling business. New Day came out there and did the speech to introduce him. So we had a full-blown New Day reunion. Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, Big E. Big E was all hyped up, and he did the whole introduction. Don't you dare be sour. Clap for Thunderbolt Patterson and feel the power. Patterson came out there, and there was this other guy who was talking for a while. So I was thinking, okay, is Thunderbolt Patterson not going to talk? But then Thunderbolt Patterson did talk, and he talked for quite a while. like I said earlier, I have no issue with these guys having their moment. Let them have their time. But at this point, when it's past midnight, we're all tired. He basically delivered a sermon. Best way I can describe this. Like he said a prayer, he thanked Jesus, and then he just started talking and talking and talking. A good message, a positive message, saying you should treat others how you want to be treated and stop killing people, stop using the race card. Like, it was a positive message, but yeah, at this point, I think everybody was just so tired, and he's talking, he keeps going on, and people are probably thinking it like, all right, let's wrap this up, but they don't want to be disrespectful at the same time. So it was kind of awkward, this whole thing. He did talk about wrestling a little bit. He praised Gerald Briscoe and hugged Briscoe when he came out there. Like I said, I'm happy for the guy, but I wish that this would have been on a different night. Yeah, I don't think it was as long as Mr. T, but yeah, it went on for quite a bit. And we finally had The Rock inducting his grandmother, Lia Maivia, and it was short. Thankfully, The Rock did not ramble too long. I think the dude's got a big match. It's a busy weekend. I felt bad for the wrestlers too, because you got Cody sitting out there, and a lot of the wrestlers were out there that are performing at WrestleMania. Like, you would think these guys want to get a good night's sleep before WrestleMania, and you're keeping them up really late here. Rock talked about his grandmother being a trailblazer, opening the doors for women, and he mentioned the various promoters that she worked for, including Vince McMahon. Interesting, he did name drop Vince McMahon, and McMahon's name got booed by the crowd. They were booing Vince, and then Rock had to get into character a little bit and started talking to Cody and said that at WrestleMania, it's not business, it's personal. And then he had his mother stand up, called her the real final boss of the family, and then closed the show, hyped up WrestleMania. And as he was leaving the ring, he had some words with some Cody fans at ringside, and that was the end of the Hall of Fame. The Rock closed the show. A lot of people left. I've heard this from various people that were in attendance for the show. A lot of fans left after Paul Heyman's speech, and I've already said my piece on it. I think they need to move it to a different night. Thursday night, Hall of Fame. I think that's what they got to do moving forward here. Quite frankly, I think Stand and Deliver should move too. I would consider maybe instead of NXT on Tuesday night, have that Tuesday night be the Stand and Deliver, or have the Hall of Fame on Tuesday, and then the Thursday before WrestleMania do Stand and Deliver on its own. It's just, they're just cramming so much into a short period of time, and you should let these events have their time to breathe. It's like we can't even digest the Hall of Fame because we got Stand and Deliver coming up in the morning. Hamp Connell sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Hamp. I appreciate it. Says, they'll be okay. WrestleMania ain't until 7 p.m. Yeah, that's true. I mean, Triple H, I'm sure, is going to want to be watching the show and being around for it. So he might not be getting much sleep. But yeah, it is what it is. And that's the life of the wrestlers. They're always keeping busy. They're always doing stuff. And it's a busy weekend. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Not my best performance here, but it is late. I was considering waiting until the morning, but I figure, you know what? I like to do these when everything's fresh in my memory. So did it here, 1 o'clock, 1:30 a.m. Thank you guys again. I'm heading to bed. I'll see you guys in the early afternoon for NXT Stand and Deliver. Buy a shirt if you liked the video. Spread the word. Tell a friend. We got more to come. WrestleMania coverage all weekend. Say yes to no DQ. And I will see you all next time.